Okay, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by sending such notice to the Asbury Park Press, the Middletown Patch, and the Middletown Township Public School District website, and the posting on such notice of the August T. Minor administrative offices in each elementary, middle, and secondary school in the district. Roll call.
Amy's not there. Can we do our own?
Yeah, I guess we can. Give me your pen. Okay. Mr. Little.
Here.
Mrs. Stellar.
Here.
Mr. DeFranco.
Here.
Mrs. Walsh. Here. Mr. Donlin.
Here.
Mr. Cody.
Here.
Mrs. Caminetti.
Here.
Mrs. Rogers.
Here.
And Mrs. Minimis here. We did a roll call for you. You can do it again.
Yeah, we're all here.
Okay, we need a motion to go into closed session for negotiations, personnel matters, and contracts.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, before we, I'd like to open the meeting again. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided by sending such notice to the Asbury Park Press, the Middletown Patch, the Middletown Township Public School District website, and the posting of such notice at the August T. Minor administrative offices in each elementary and middle and secondary school in the district. Roll call.
Mrs. Caminetti?
Here.
Mr. Cody?
Here.
Mr. DeFranco?
Here.
Mr. Donlin?
Here.
Mr. Little?
Here.
Mrs. Stella?
Here.
Mrs. Walsh?
Here.
Mrs. Rogers?
Here.
Mrs. Minimis?
Yeah. Okay, before we salute the flag, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence afterwards for John Holinda, who passed away on June 15, 2018 at the age of 92. John was employed as a security guard at High School South from February 2002 until his retirement in 2011. Our thoughts are with his family. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You got it.
Mr. Walker, do we have staff recognition tonight?
It's on the agenda. Yeah, that's what I said, it's on the agenda. Yeah, no, we just want to make sure we have certificates. Yeah, we don't have it. Yeah.
Yeah, please. Thank you. And grant, right, recognition.
Mrs. Walker and Dr. Cartier. And do you have any other members, Dr. Cartier? They feel awkward talking about themselves. The New Jersey Department of Education has accepted Middletown High School North from the many applications received throughout the state for participation in the School Climate Transformation Project, otherwise known as SCTP. Participation in this initiative is designed to assist schools in building or enhancing a school's climate over a 3-year period through utilization of the New Jersey School Climate Survey. The New Jersey Department of Education, Division of Learning Supports and Specialized Services, and the Graduate School of Applied and Professional Psychology, located at Rutgers University, have partnered in this project to provide schools with tailored consultation to support their approaches to establishing and maintaining positive school climates through a research-driven school climate change process. The Board of Education commends and congratulates Mrs. Walker and Dr. Cartier for their commitment and enthusiasm in supporting and enduring positive school climate to foster student learning and growth, and for bringing this opportunity to fruition. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to start with our student services presentation.
Good evening, everybody. Dr. George asked a little bit for us to share a little bit what we've done as a department, really as a district, with the support of the Board of Education, the community and everything, what we've done as a district as far as improvements with special education. So we just wanted to share out tonight. I'm a district director. I have Ms. Amy Karansky, who's the supervisor of Child Study Team, and Sharon Simmons, who's the supervisor of instruction and special education, and Ms. Danielle Schreck, who's the supervisor of special education instruction. Okay, with that, we're going to just talk about some of the things that we've done as a district moving forward. From our office, what we're in charge of. We're in charge of Child Study Team. We're in charge of all the IEPs, related services, special education programs, the preschool program, Child Find, which means we have an obligation if anybody in the township thinks anybody that here has some type of disability, they can refer a child to us. So that's a live link, so when this is posted to the website, it's a full explanation of what Child Find is. We're also in charge of 504 accommodation plans. I'm the District 504 officer. We're also in charge of home instruction and also safety screenings for our students when necessary.
I'm going to back up a little and just introduce myself so you guys know a little bit about me and what I've done before I've been here. Like Mr. Dunn said, I supervise child study teams, so that includes the school social workers and learning disability teacher consultants. Before I worked here, I was a supervisor of special education in K-8 district, and prior to that, I was a school psychologist working primarily at the high school level. I've also been an adjunct professor at Seton Hall, teaching graduate courses in their professional psychology program, and I'm currently an adjunct professor at Monmouth University, teaching in their provisional teacher program.
My name is Sharon Simmons. I oversee the special class programs and related services and preschool programs here. Prior to this position, I was a private school principal, and I oversaw the preschool preschool through 21, and multiple disabilities, autism, MD, cerebral palsy. So there were a lot of different abilities in that school. And prior to that, I was 10 years as a special education teacher in class resource, behavior disabilities, and a lot of work with students on the spectrum.
Hi, Danielle Schreck. This is actually my 20th year in education. I went through the Middletown Township Public School System, and it's really great to be back full circle, which is wonderful. I have taught anything from self-contained to LLD, in-class support, and resource. When I left the classroom, I then became a learning disabilities teacher's consultant, and I worked in 3 of our elementary schools here. And then the last several years, I've been in this position as a supervisor of special ed instruction.
So just to highlight our continuum of supports, we start at the top there in our least restrictive. And as a department, this is something that we strongly believe in and that our staff are working towards every single day. The plans that they are creating and these programs come out of are IEPs, which are legal documents. And any time in this document that a student is removed from their gen ed peers, a rationale needs to be provided to explain why that is occurring. So it's something that is part of our everyday practice. Every student's program might look a little bit different because it is individualized. So as you can see, we start, gen ed obviously is the least restrictive, and then that goes to in-class support. We have a resource room, and then we have different self-contained programs. We have autism programs, multiply disabled programs, behavior disability programs, and LLD programs. More restricted from that would be our students who are out of district or the students who are on home instruction. What I also want to highlight here is that students at all levels, at elementary levels, they're integrated with their peers for what we call specials, which would be your art, music, phys ed, that type of thing. And then at secondary, for elective courses, they're also being chosen with their gen ed peers. And sometimes that might require, more additional support, maybe through a paraprofessional, so that they can be successful in those environments. Our students are also very involved within the school community, going on class trips, being a part of their school community, any special events that go on in the school, they're a part of.
So this is a list of all the support services we have. As you can see, this year we had 178 special ed teachers. This does not include some of our general ed teachers in the middle school and the high schools that might teach one or two sections of a special ed program. Preschool teachers, 12, we're 38 self-study team members, 17 speech therapists, 2 behaviorists, 1 occupational therapist, teacher of the deaf, obviously paraprofessionals, and then we do have contracted related services, speech, OT, PT, an assistive tech consultant, teacher of the visually impaired, teacher of the deaf, and some of our students have individual nursing. We have brought back some students that were in out-of-district programs. We've brought them back in district and have housed them here, so some of our students need those services.
What I also want to highlight regarding those support services, a student could be in an in-class support section and, for example, need services from a teacher of the deaf, or maybe they have more significant needs and they're in our multiply disabled class and they also receive services from the teacher of the deaf. So your specific program does not dictate what type of support you need, that's the individual student. A lot of this here just kind of highlights the continuum of support and things that have been added in previous years. We're able to expand our programs based on the needs of our students, and as much as possible expand those programs for students in their home schools. So we've created different programs at both of our high schools and expanded in-class support and resource in all the different content areas. Something else to also point out is a lot of times we think of special ed and we think of just academic concerns. But that's not the only thing that our department looks at. Of course, we're looking at social emotional needs of our students, and sometimes students might need support because they have mental health concerns. So that might be through the support of one of our behavioral disabilities programs or the therapeutic supports that we have built into the programs at both of our high schools. But that is something that our department also looks closely at.
Some of the things, again, I sit down quick, kind of block that out then. Again, since 2012, since we came on as an administrative team, these are some of the positions. We've added 2 supervisors, 7 social behavior support specialists known as SBSSs, 2 behaviorists, 2 child study team members, 1 speech therapist, and 46 special ed teachers. So just to kind of talk about the different things that we've done as a district to improve the supports and continuing services for our students and making it an emphasis to keep our students here and provide them opportunities.
So talking a little bit more about our inclusive programs, we have the Challenger phys ed and electives. We have a Challenger cheerleading program, which our special education students are working with general ed peers, and they're actually participating in the cheerleading football games every year. So really good opportunities for our kids to work together. In gym, they're working together, whether they're doing drills together, and they're able to work with their special ed peers and our typical peers together. So it's nice. Reverse mainstreaming. Our general ed students are coming into our special ed classes, and they're eating lunch with the students, or playing games with them, kind of just acting like typical peers with each other in the class. Circle of friends. We have this at both the middle school and high school level. So you have peer buddies again, and working together, just being a support for one another and kind of getting themselves out there. Friendship Club and the Slam Dunk for Autism and Strike Out for Autism. Mr. Warner is very much an advocate of running this program, where he works with our special ed students and organizes games. Mr. Hoffman is on his 2nd year of having the Strike Out for Autism. It was here at North this year, and just playing with a bunch of different, I think there were 12 teams this year that played in a round robin game. So it was really nice, and all the money proceeds go into our special education department to whatever whatever we may need to benefit our students, whether it be technology, CVI events, so on and so forth.
Speaking of technology, majority of all of our classrooms have the smart boards. We do have the Chromebooks, and our self-contained, all special ed also has the Chromebooks. We have assistive technology, one-to-one devices as needed, read and write for Google. Some programs that were in the elementary school that we continued with our self-contained programs in the middle and high school would be Raz Kids, Reading A to Z, and Dreambox is a math program that is used in the elementary school, but we did bring that up to the middle and high school level for our self-contained programs. And then I was quite excited because I found out that in the secretary at middle school level, all the students are also going to have access to Dreambox as well. And then we also have Bookshare, which a lot of our students use, and then Learning Alley.
Okay, some of the other things that we did and made it a point of emphasis in the district is the reduction of students taking the alternate proficiency assessment. As you know, everybody, you have to take statewide assessment yearly. We reduced it by 40% of our students taking it. And basically what we did, we just adhered to the state guidelines setting it, and that way those students that were taking it that were above the 1% were not counting towards our test scores. So again, all we did was we just followed the regulations, but we were able to reduce the number of students participating in that. We also have reduced the number of students attending out-of-district placement. You know, there are times that students are still going out, but we've reduced the number of students going out, but also we've increased the number of students coming back and returning to district when we have an appropriate program here for them. We've also at times accepted tuition students in some of our self-contained programs. And again, we make sure that, you know, we have spots for our students first, but we also work to partner other schools with other districts as well. When students from other districts are here, they're not considered out of district because they're still in a least restrictive environment. They're in a public school with general education peers.
So we also failed to mention is that we all work K-12. So we're collaborating with the other supervisors and directors that are in district, but we're also working with the 17 principals and their respective assistant principals in a lot of what we do. And a lot of what we're working towards is professional development and continued collaboration with our staff at the different levels. So what we've increased in the past couple of years is that collaboration between staff and transition from elementary school to middle school and middle school to high school. So that's something that we continue to do and increase working on.
And as far as with department meetings, special ed teachers and gen ed teachers are constantly collaborating with each other at the middle school and high school level when they are meeting with their content area directors. And then special class program articulations happen very frequently as well, a lot during our PLC days. So, and we've gotten great feedback with that. When I first came on a couple years ago in this position, that's one thing that some of our teachers said, like, we communicate with the people within our building, but what are the other people doing in other buildings? What are those other classes doing? I want to talk to those teachers. So we've been able to come together and make that happen, and they're just so happy, and they just want, you know, the teachers want more and more of that, so we'll continue to provide that. We do the preschool open house, and I'll go back. So this is just a list, I'm not going to read all of it, of some of the teacher professional development that we've done. As I've said, special ed teachers are trained within the general ed, any of the initiatives that are coming on. Our LLD teachers are there, our full-out resource teachers, our in-class support teachers are all there learning the programs themselves. And then we actually will sometimes meet afterwards to discuss what that looks like and how if they need to modify any particular programs. We've done PD on writing collaborative IEPs, goals, objectives, present level academic and functional performance. Special ed teachers have been trained in Project Read and linguistics. The elementary, all elementary and middle school special ed teachers, and then a few of the high school teachers have been trained in these programs. It's not just a phonics program, it also correlates and applies to the comprehension component. It correlates a little bit like the foundations and a one type approach, but A lot of our students are doing very well with that, and the teachers have expressed how they're really liking the program. We use the F&P, reading and writing workshop across the elementary and the middle schools. And then we do have over 60 teachers certified in the Wilson Reading Program. And Sharon's going to talk about the next one.
And we have a partnership with Monmouth University. It's called the Autism Program Improvement Plan, and it's a project-based program which it looks at how we can improve our teaching practices for the autism population. It focuses on what teachers want to really work on, providing them professional improvement plans and providing consistent professional development for the teachers and the parents within the classroom. So within this, we train our 2 BCBAs to be coaches, and they come in on a weekly basis where a skill that's identified by the teacher that they want to work on the evidence-based practices, whether that could be direct instruction or modeling what that looks like and how they can improve. And then it's they videotape each other, they talk about it, and they come back and provide each other with some really good feedback on how to enhance each of their practices for the next time.
Sorry.
And this is just highlighting some of the PD that occurs with our child study team and related service members. A lot of our child study team are obviously mental health professionals. A lot of this is self-directed based upon what they feel like they want more training in. One to highlight also is our Lifelines suicide prevention training. A good portion of our staff were involved with that.
Okay. So paraprofessional trainings, we have fundamentals workshops and models of best practices and supports. We have our best practices of English, language arts, and instruction. We have different related service providers coming out, our OTs, PTs, and speech therapists, providing para trainings during our PLC days, which has been very beneficial, whether it's what our therapists are identifying as issues where they feel that would benefit their students, or the para saying that they want to know more information about particular students and how to foster independence. We're doing CPR training, different types of technology, Google platform, assistive technology applications, iPads, smartboards, mindfulness. Again, this the Autism Program Improvement Plan has AFER modules, which looks at each of the individual evidence-based practices and provides hands-on and web-based trainings that the teachers and parents can use self-directed. The teachers could help the paraprofessionals through, or the paraprofessionals can watch the videos and then articulate with the teachers and improve their practices. So you have your basic American Sign Language and
Jumping ahead on that.
that's okay.
Okay, one of the things we talked about also, some of the partnerships we formed within the community. We utilize CPC as a resource for the district. YMCA provides, we partner with them for the before and after care, but they also provide counseling in some of our schools. Again, Sims talked about the Monmouth University and the partnership we have with them with our program, but there's other things that are partnership with Monmouth and other parts of the district. We partnered this year to increase the number of students in Middletown with special needs that were part of the Monmouth County Special Needs Registry. It's just a safe way so that police or other first responders know some of the uniqueness of some of the people that make up our community. We also participate in New Jersey Special Olympics, Rally Cap Sports, which was Challenger Sports years ago and now has gone nationwide. We also work with the ARC of Monmouth County, and we have students participate in the Dare to Dream conference, which is run by the Office of Special Education Programs, New Jersey Department of Ed. These are some of our structured learning experience sites. That's where some of our students at the high school level will spend a good portion of their day working at some of these different locations, working on post-secondary skills. Some of our partners are the Middletown Arts Center, Forestry Park. We have some students that are going out and working in some of our self-contained classes, working in our preschools. So it's an opportunity for them to be role models for some of our younger students. They go out to Brookdale. We have a number of different locations at Brookdale Community College, Applebee's, Riverview, and a host of others. With that being said, I know it's kind of a long night, but we just kind of wanted to share what we do as a department and kind of let everybody know what we've done as a district over the past 6.5 years as a school community to enhance improvements within the district. We just wanted to share that out with you.
the public comment portion, and seeing that this is June 27th, the last day of school, and looking at the significant audience population, there may be some concerns on one or more agenda items. So I just want to be clear about our procedures in place so that everybody can have the opportunity to be heard and your perspective can be heard on different agenda topics and agenda items. And also, others who may not share your concern may also have enough time to make sure the other items and the agenda items and voting and action items can be voted on, heard, and possibly discussed. So having said that, if you are with a group where there is a common thread, please understand to be most concise, if you could state your opinion and those of others who share the same concern so that we don't reiterate the same position over and over again, but at the same time, the board gets the opportunity to see the totality of the concern. That would be greatly appreciated. And it would best probably utilize your time, the board's time, and give us the opportunity to make sure that we can address all agenda items and have enough time to do so. So just to establish the timeframes, we have a 30-minute public comment timeframe. We will extend that. We will go over if necessary. However, there's 3 minutes for each person to speak, and that's just to make sure that everyone who has a concern or perspective has enough time to speak. In addition, again, if you can represent the same position of more one member and just allude to them, and it can be clear to the board that this is a concern represented by 50, 20, 9, 6 people, that would be much appreciated. But let me say this, your opportunity for public opinion is valued. We want to make sure that the board has the opportunity to hear your perspective. We just want to make sure that every agenda item gets the opportunity to be heard. So on that, as we get public comment on agenda items and voting members only at this time, please come up, state your name, give us your address, sign in, and we welcome your perspective.
Sharon Mackey, Port Monmouth. I'm talking on behalf of Aramark. I just have a few questions. We just found out the other day about this new food service company coming in. So I personally did some digging about their reviews. I don't know if any of you guys looked on their website about their reviews. Their reviews are very negative towards their employees. Also, I noticed on here that they want to cut 5 positions and also cut our hours. I mean, I don't know what the gripe is with Aramark, but since Charles was here and then Aramark came in, Aramark is 100% better. They give quality food. None of the food is expired. We do not give any of our kids expired food. I don't know what parents email you guys or anything like that, but they get quality food. And I also see on here that they want to bring in a chef for $86,000. We have cooks in every school, so why do we need to bring in a chef if we have cooks in every school? The morale is very low with this new company, and I think you guys should give Aramark another chance, even give them a 1-year contract, and let them prove to you guys that they could do it. That's just my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your discussion. On this item, this voting agenda item, which is the food service, if there are similar comments that have not, similar concerns that have not been addressed, why don't we focus on this first, please? Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm Pam Smith from Fort Monmouth School, Fort Monmouth PTA president. I do want to say as a PIC rep that I was very surprised Not that the contract was being renewed, because I have heard this during our budget meetings and everything else, but that this vendor was chosen without discussing with the rest of the parents. I thought that's what part of PIC was. And I'd like to try to look at all of these people standing here. These are the people that are affected by this contract, that may or may not have their jobs. And I would like them all to stand. Everyone from Aramark that may be affected from this job is here. And for us not to have an opinion and not to have a voice affecting these people, you know, I feel a little short-sighted as a PIC rep. And I'm a little disappointed because I really would have liked to have heard the potential contracts and the potential people that we were looking towards and what they may have offered that Aramark did not. So as a PIC rep, I really do think that we're supposed to have this open conversation and open communication, and I'm a little disappointed. And I'm disappointed for my food service reps that are standing here. We're a school of 222 students. 140 of them get Aramark services today. That's huge. And for them to change, that's going to affect us. And that makes me sad. For them and for my 140 students. So on behalf of them, you know, I just want to root for them. And I want the board to think about that. These are parents, these are 140 students, you know, of a little tiny school, you know, but a big population. So thank you.
Others similarly affected on this issue? Because if not, I think then we'll address, yes, on this issue. And then what we'll do is, we'll just speak to the issue, just to explain the process, and then we'll move on to any other agenda topics. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, my name is Lisa Manley. I'm on East Road in Middletown. I also work for Aramark. I have 25 years of food service experience, and I've been through rebids and changes in companies and whatnot. What struck me first was when some of my principals at the schools came up to me and were surprised and stunned and asked me what was happening, what went wrong. They were not dissatisfied with our services. And that kind of surprised me, because I thought, had a new food service company been coming in, they would be the first ones to know. They're our front-end clients. The children are our front-end clients. We deliver to the children, and we serve the children every day. And the principals. If a principal calls me and says, Lisa, I would not like you to serve this anymore, I immediately stop serving that way. They are our front-end clients. We serve the schools, principals, and the children. And then, as more information became available on the website, I was just wondering, what are the criteria that was involved in this switch? I see a few things that just are questionable to me. One, that it says there was a rating of the economic stability of the vendors, that Aramark Mutual rating, we're a Fortune 500 company, Whitson's I don't believe is Fortune 500. So I'm not sure why Whitson's would have gotten a higher rating there. Also, there was a rating for penalization for Aramark for being the incumbent school. And that certainly is a transition. I would think that would be in Aramark's favor. So I'm not certain how the judging and the criteria and the scaling of Whitson's as the better candidate for Middletown as a district was come to that determination.
Okay, thank you. We're going to give everybody the opportunity to speak, and we'll speak to the process.
Thank you, Frank.
Sure, thank you.
Hi, my name is Karen French. I'm a supervisor in Middletown South, as most of you know.
Yes.
I have been at South for almost 12 years, so I'm very nervous. I was debating back and forth, should I speak? I have two sons at home. My last one, I graduated Monday. So on Friday when I got the news, I went home and I told my older son. my oldest son says, "Mom, don't worry, you're gonna get a job. You're fine, you're fine." He even went online and he was showing me jobs. I still didn't feel right. And I said, "Don't tell your brother. Let him graduate, don't tell him." So on Saturday night, my son's friends came over, and then my son's like, "Ma, you gotta get to work 10 minutes earlier for next year because they changed the time." Then I started crying. I said, "It looks like Aramark that they didn't get the contract." My son's like, "What? Why?" I'm like, "I don't know." So my son's like, "Well, did anybody visit your school?" Because he knows I take pride in my work. I said, "No." He said, "Did they go to any other school?" I said, "I don't know. I normally hear a lot of things. I don't know." So he's like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" I said, "What can I do?" He's like, "You gotta fight." I'm like, I got no one else in school." He's like, "You gotta do it for the kids." So I'm up here for the Middletown kids. I don't know it, because I am a supervisor. I don't have the back of the union. I don't need the union to back me up. I'm here for the kids. If I have a job tomorrow, I have a job. If I don't, I don't. I'm here for the kids. And I just want to show you, this is why that I'm up here speaking. These are some of the thank you notes that we got a week ago before this announcement. These are from high school kids, from elementary school, so. And also this is a letter from someone from Middletown South. I hope I made enough copies, I don't know. I'm in a rush.
So we'll share. Thank you.
I don't know what else to say. I have to say, I was here with the other company. I have to say their food was very poor. I did not have my kids eat with the other company. So that shows me what I serve to my own children. Aramark, when they came in, I was just a regular employee. I was on the slicer. When Aramark came in, I guess that they saw something I didn't see. I became a lead from Bayshore. Then I went back to supervisor at South. The amount of training I got from Aramark in the last 5 years and the standards they have are, I can't even top it. And each year, my wonderful bosses, they like to push me. And they set the bar higher and higher and higher. And each year I'm like, how much more can you do? And they surprise me. And every time when I set up for a board meeting, I say, come to my school, come to my school, come to my school. I think I probably saw 2 in the last 4 years. So I don't know how you're getting all of this, which probably from social media. So many times I hold my breath because I want to say things on it, because these people, they say we run out of food. Trust me, we don't run out of food. I have so much waste. I can't explain it. I don't see how people can come up with a decision when they're not in my kitchen or any of the other kitchens. That's it. I'm just here for the kids. Thank you.
Time on this issue, then we'll kind of just some common themes that we've heard is about the process and how we got where we are. So I think, as it relates to Aramark, yeah, sure, different than from what we've heard.
Hi, I'm Anita Clark, I'm a paraprofessional at one of the schools here. But we came in solidarity for the
Okay,
cafeteria workers. That's why we're here.
okay,
But they showed us this evaluation committee recommendation for the food services, the way I'm assuming you use this to make the choice, I'm not sure. But a couple of things just popped out at us. So it's the total hourly payroll is going to drop by 100,000. The total hourly positions are going to drop by 5. And from no chef, you're going to have a chef for $86,000. And all I can think is like, that's got to be some crazy chicken nuggets for $86,000. I mean, we all know what the cafeteria foods are, you know. It's kids, you get chicken nuggets, you get pizza. So we just, I mean, as a taxpayer and in support, like I said, about coworkers, we're just wondering like, why you go with the higher number rather than the lesser? That's it.
okay. Anyone else, or would you like to hear the explanation of the process? All right, so at this time, we'll move to the explanation of the process from Ms. Gallagher and myself, and then maybe also give Ritsons the opportunity to speak as well. All right?
So the board was required to go out for an RFP this year for food services. The way food service contracts work is they are one-year contracts, but you are allowed to do up to 4 subsequent years of renewal of that same vendor under that contract with a negotiated term for each year going forward, up to 5 years. We were at the end of that 5-year cycle. So this year we did go out for proposals for food service. Proposals for food service are governed under the law, under the competitive contracting process, and also under the guidelines of the New Jersey Department of Agriculture. There is a set form of contract that is used when we contract with a food service vendor. And in addition, this year, the state of New Jersey had issued a requirement to start migrating over to a different form of contract. And I won't get into all the details of it, but we went from a reimbursable form to a fixed cost. And it doesn't impact our operation, it just impacts the type of contract. But what it did impact was the timeline to do the process. We were waiting for the state to come up with the form of the contract that we would have to use to do our proposal. So we've been talking about doing this process since really the late fall, and we've been waiting for the guidance from the state and so forth. And we finally got everything that we needed to put a request for proposal together and go out and get the proposals. So those proposals went out in April. Vendors had a chance to respond to us and give us their proposal that met the specifications that we put into our request for proposal. And the proposals were due back to the district on May 15th. At that point in time, we have a committee which was made up of administrative team members and board members meet to start evaluating the proposals based upon the rubric that was in the proposal request that we put out, and that's how they were evaluated. The committee met several times and went over the proposals. There were also site visits, a site visit involved for the other vendor that wasn't our incumbent vendor that the committee was not familiar with. References were gathered, and the text and the content of the proposals were read through and evaluated and discussed by the committee. After all of that information was gathered, the committee then independently scored the proposals based on the rubric that we had determined before we put the proposal out, and completed the sheets. The sheets were then tallied, and that resulted in the report that is up on our website that all of you are referring to, the totals of the scores. After that process is completed, the report is then presented to the board and again posted for the public, and the recommendation of the committee is given to the board. The board then has to authorize the awarding of a contract with a vendor at tonight's meeting. It's on the agenda. The contract with Aramark currently that we have ends June 30th. So after June 30th, there would be no contracted vendor until the board took action to award the next contract. And, the process has been a long one, although, we only got the proposals back May 15th. Again, we've been discussing this and put the committee together and have been aware and researching to move forward for several months. So I don't know, Dr. George, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that. I think we all have a common goal here, which is for having the best food available for our students and the best food service competitive process available for our students. I meet with new hires every meeting. This is not, for those members of the school community that work currently for Airmark. Karen, one thing that you forgot to mention is not only do we get you, but oftentimes at 11:30 at night, we get your husband too, because he's usually here with you to help clean up, and you never let me assist you and help you. This isn't anything in opposition to our current food service provider. There is no question that this process, over this period, we have seen improved service from Airmark, and we are grateful for the work done by Airmark. For me, and I tell this with everyone that we hire, it's not about the adults, it's about the students and about creating a competitive process. Whether we're hiring a teacher, a paraprofessional, an administrator, a custodian, so that we can provide the very best services and the highest standard possible for our students. So that was our means in this process, just so you know. That rubric that was established, to speak also a little bit further on that, was established with a food service expert consultant. We followed a process very similar to actually exactly the same, I believe, to the process when we hired Airmark. So just so everybody understands the intention. The other thing is that this is a different process, and maybe you should speak to that, Mrs. Gallagher, in the sense that this is a committee process and a time frame in which the board is held to a decision, and the board trusted this committee and the work of their food service consultant and providing the rubric and the guidance established through the way so that we can make a decision in a timely manner, so that moving forward, we'll make sure we're ready to provide those services at the start of the school year in September. And that process, which we followed to the letter that was pre-established, is binding. Correct?
Correct.
Could we elaborate a little bit more on when the committee filled out those sheets and why it's binding for that?
Well, the committee, the participants in the committee, before we started the process, did have to certify that they had no conflicts or anything of that nature in order to participate in the process, and that they were independent. The scoring sheets are individually filled out and then tallied as a group to come up with the final report, so I'm not sure if that's what you were referring to.
Yeah, they mean like why the board would have to back it, if that's a legal document that...
Well, the way the process is structured legally is that the proposals are evaluated based on the rubric. The recommendation is made to the board after the evaluation is done, and for the board to not support the recommendation of the committee that had done the work and had evaluated the proposals would mean essentially a rejection of that bid. Now, it is a competitive contracting, which is a little different than bidding, but it is, you would have to have a reason, a legal reason to reject it, and there are only certain circumstances where you would be able to reject that bid, whether the cost would be more than what was anticipated, if you wanted to substantially change the specifications of your proposal, if you weren't going to move forward at all, which that's not the case, we need a food service program, or if you were going to use a state contract or something along those lines. We don't fall under any of those exceptions to reject the bid. So in that case, the board would not have a reason to not accept it.
Legal counsel, is that consistent with your legal opinion?
Yes, it is, because everything that had to happen is according to statute, it's all set out, the steps are what has to happen. If there is going to be an exception, what those are, they're all set out there. So for this particular situation, any of those exceptions don't apply here. So the rubrics, that were used, the scores, that were tallied, the company, each individual that was on the committee, scored, its own, and then they're tallied together. And the one that comes with the highest score is the recommendation of the committee. It's not a black mark against, our mark. It's not, anything, about that. Even the fact that they had to go out for, these proposals at this time was statute driven. It had nothing to do with, our mark or their performance or how anyone felt about them. This is all just black and white letter statutory steps that have to happen, and this is the outcome.
But the grading itself is subjective.
The grading was done by each individual and then taken as a whole, not, tallied together for the final, but yes, each individual.
I just want to ask you a question, just to reiterate, to make it your important facts. The RFP process was driven by statutory mandate, not because of any perceived deficiency there, correct?
That's correct.
Yes, it was assigned.
And they were told. And there were two bidders, it was Evermark and Whitson's,
So we had
correct?
two proposals, Aramark and Winston's Call.
Right.
So
And
I
this
think
is a
it-
board's
I'm sorry.
decision, not a administrative decision. The board votes on this.
Ultimately, you have to,
To move
vote to
forward.
authorize the contract to be put in place.
And any legal aspects would be after a vote would take place.
I don't know what that,
Well, if we decided to say, I make a motion to table this vote, we
Oh, I
could do that
understand.
also.
Any,
And we're not into any legal burden.
You're right, it would be,
We could take a little longer if we want.
there are, different kinds of,
Right, no, I just want to,
depending on what
it's
occurs.
not legal that we have to do this tonight. It's following a legal process, but we're not breaking
There's
any
a
law
time
by
frame,
not
that's
doing
going to end quickly, because I
Correct,
believe it's
correct.
60 days from when the
Right.
proposals were received.
Right.
And that time frame is going to end in approximately 2 weeks.
Yeah, but we were put off by the state for a lengthy amount of time. I think you said,
Yes.
you were waiting on that, so.
Yeah, I understand it's a new,
Right.
a new procedure that they put in place, so you had to
I
wait
think we
until
just got it
they
on May
put it
15th.
together.
Amy said we got it on May 15th.
No, the
Board
proposals were
Proposals
received.
came back. We got the
Came back on
RFP out in
15th. But I know
April.
you had said you were waiting a long time for it. This has been going on for a long time.
Yes.
But the board, hold on. The board just had this discussion tonight.
That's on the website.
No, I understand, but I'm just
No,
saying,
I'm saying-
I want to vote on this, but I just want to turn around and understand it all, and the board just had the conversation tonight in executive session. So that's why I just wanted
And I think it's important for people to understand, I'm not saying how important, but if you vote no for this, if we vote no for this, and we vote against Whitson's, our mark doesn't get stacked.
No,
Right.
very likely it would be a challenge, I would assume.
Well, the contract ends June 30th regardless. So as of July 1st, there would be no contract.
So there would be no one that's in place, there would be no.
And we jeopardize the opportunity of having a food service program up and ready to go for the fall. So, well, at this time, why don't we provide Whitson's the opportunity if they'd like to.
I'm sorry, Dr. Pierce, can I just clarify one thing? I think Jim brought this up, and I want to make sure I understand it. The timeline effectively was, we were prepared to go into this process starting in the fall. We waited for the state to provide us the details we needed to put an RFP out. That was sometime in mid-April. Proposals were received back May 15th, or sometime in May.
We released our RFP April 23rd. We had a pre-proposal at bid conference, May 1st. We had site visits by any interested proposers, May 1st. The proposals were due by May 15th. And then after that point in time, the committee started meeting on its own. There was also a session where the two companies were interviewed. There was follow-up meetings to evaluate the proposals and the other information that was gathered. And the target was to have a recommendation to the board for the June 30th meeting.
So it was about 5 weeks from when the proposals were received to last Friday, I guess, when the decision of the committee was reached, right? Okay, I'm trying, because it did feel like a compressed time frame. I think it's important to understand exactly the state, because of the state's delays, it compressed our timeline and our ability to have fulsome
Well,
discussion.
normally, we would have, if nothing had been changing as far as the contract goes, the form of the contract, we would have liked to have had these RFPs out in, say, January, February, and then evaluating them in March and April. And because of the changeover, and we were waiting for the form of the contract, we didn't get the RFPs out till April 23rd.
Okay, so at this time, do we want to provide the, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Madam President.
Well, I
did you
just
want to say-
had another question to clarify the people. The committee filled out these forms and they're binding. So even if there was another full discussion with the board, those papers are binding.
The recommendation is the recommendation. The report's been issued, it's been published.
It's a committee process as it was done.
So even putting it off, like some people are suggesting, isn't going to change it because the paperwork is done. The committee recommendation is there.
Okay, do we want to give, this time, give Winston's the opportunity to say?
Question, no.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is John. First, I wanted to take the time to address the question on jobs, right? Everybody's concerned about their jobs, whether they're going to have them or not. So, you know, the thing about it is everyone that's here is going to be able to have the opportunity to go through an interview process and have a job. Understood. So I can't speak to what's posted on the website, but what I can tell you without getting into too much detail is that the number of positions that were in the RFP and proposal are the number of positions that we bid on. So that means everybody here has a job, you know, in the way it is. So I'm not sure why there's some confusion on why people think there's 5 less positions.
Because it's right here on the paper.
That's on the paperwork.
Right on the paperwork.
I understand that.
But I think the point that you're making
explain it.
was that
point that I'm
last
making
year.
is-
Why would it be on it? Why would it be on it if it's not?
I'm sorry.
I didn't fill
So
out.
I can clarify?
Yes.
Maybe you should read it.
So what you're saying is 71 positions, the number of positions, now how it was implemented last year? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. On the sheet in the
Right.
document.
Based on the previous year. So when you're evaluating the running of the program as it was currently, you were formulating your proposal based on the rubric and the number of positions there were last year. Is that correct?
That were given to us to utilize.
Okay, that would give me, okay, thank you. Anything else that you guys wanted to speak to?
Yeah, I mean, just to tell.
So there's 71 people working now, and their proposal was to hire 71 people?
No.
They want to eliminate. Wait, let me explain
I'm sorry,
here.
there's 68 on the sheet
Okay,
for hourly associates.
okay.
And there are 2 positions that are sub-positions that are on there that have no hours.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be 70. But those would be included really in the, without getting into too much explanation. They may not have been listed on that sheet because their hours have been covered by the full-time plus the paid days that we were accounting for on the sheet. So looking at that list of 73 versus 68 is not necessarily the case. And what we're here to say is that all the people that are currently working here are the ones that we're going to interview. And we say interview in orientation is that everybody gets the normal process, which is fingerprinting and background check.
So we
We normally have to go through. I know that you have it now, but you'd have to produce that and/or go through that process again. Just whatever the normal hiring process would be. There's
And our
no-
proposal was not to reduce positions. It's as per the collective bargaining agreement, just to have the team members come on over, so.
All black and white.
Yes, all
Yes,
of
all
them,
of them,
yes.
$7 check.
Well, so you made a great point earlier about what the program is, and I think the committee did a great job in taking a look at what we offer as a company. So, our approach to food services is a little different. We're focusing on products that are more wholesome from raw state, so require more cooking as opposed to items that might be pre-prepared or items that are convenience items. So also look to local farms and local businesses within the community. So we had a very detailed plan, and I think the committee saw that and recognized that, and I don't know that you see that from sitting in the audience. I think that you might be seeing some rubric and not necessarily the program that we put forth, and I think the committee did a fine evaluation. And I'm sure it was a very difficult decision. I wanted to say thank you all for coming out here, because this shows your commitment to the community here in Middletown and your jobs. And we're not here to take your jobs away or reduce your hours. That's not the plan. The plan here is to make Middletown #1 food service.
Any kind of guarantee in writing that everyone will keep their jobs?
I can't do that because there might be people who don't.
Oh, say right there. There you go.
No.
Wait, can I just go back to, before this is a board, in the governance structure, and let me be the one to set up here and give this. I'm an advocate for the kids. So what I would suggest is that there be a competitive process, like there is in everything else we do, that we should be respectful of our community, that we should look, and I think it's important to the board, I think it should be important to the board that jobs stay in the community. I think that's the process that normally happens, and I think that's what you're saying. But I want to say this, to guarantee that every single person who interviews gets a job impacts quality control and the bottom line for what's in the best interest of the kids. So that's the service that we provide to the students. And, I gotta tell you, after 32 years in education, I got where I am because I stayed focused on one thing, and that is what is in the best interest of the students. So I think what you're hearing here is a commitment to the community, a commitment to jobs in the community. That's an important point. A commitment to the same number of jobs that there were in last year's contract. That's another important point. I also think, and this is what I've said to the board in closed session, so I think it's important that I share with all of you, it's really important that we stay to the rubric and that we respect the committee process that has not just been put in place this time, which has been put in place in the past under direction of a food service consultant that assisted us in developing that rubric. And I guess that is subjective, as pointed out by Mrs. Walsh, but every committee process is subjective. So, I just want to say that going any further in guarantees in any individual jobs, from my perspective, I'm concerned about, because I think it impacts the quality we provide for the students, and the students must come first. Absolutely.
I have a question because I wasn't part of the food services committee, so these numbers just kind of stood out to me. One was the $86,000 chef, which, okay, let's give you that one. But I'm curious, what makes your food services director, you have on here making about $90,000, we have now making $90,000, and yours is about $40,000 more, and your food services manager is making $30,000 more. So we're talking about $70,000 on two positions that I would imagine are going to do the same job that Aramark was doing when they were here. So can you explain to me why they're $70,000 better than what we have?
I'm not looking at the sheet that you have in front of you.
He should know, he's the one that proposed it. This is information that we asked to be provided to be part of our evaluation process. But I also just want to clarify that the financial impact to the district is the other information, which was the guarantee and the cost per meal. So each company has their own opportunity to structure their operation how they feel best to attain the ultimate
it doesn't
I don't
impact.
begrudge them that,
I'm just clarifying that whatever, they decide to pay for management costs and so forth, the bottom line is there to be engineering costs, that we pay, and that's what, that's what they.
but long term, when we talk heavy management, they suffer. I mean, long term, when they're doing bargaining, I'm just curious what makes them $40,000 better, their head person, $40,000 better than what we have.
I don't know.
It's a fair question.
I don't know if that's a fair question.
Well, first of all,
Yeah, because we all value everybody has a job. Why do we not go through this again if everybody has a job?
So it's a fairly complicated explanation.
Really?
on
Think about it.
Because we are at a fixed rate. So our investment in management staff is to improve the number of meals served to children here. And so our plan is to change the way,
Dave, can you just speak in the
Oh, I'm
microphone?
sorry, yeah.
so that
Yeah,
people
we're
can
also-
hear?
We're also live streaming,
Oh,
and it's
great.
also going to be on video. So.
And you didn't really get a chance to introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Dave DeSenza, and I live at 498 Ocean Avenue in Seabrook.
That's not in town?
So the mechanics of this, the investment in management labor will help us improve the participation. The participation here, especially at the elementary school level, is low, and we have an approach to help improve that. And by doing that, improving the number of meals helps us bring the average cost down. So our investment in management labor is really what we believe will help work with the program to improve the participation numbers. I don't know what the qualifications are of the staff here, or why Aramark pays their people what they pay, or whether that number is real or not in their budget, because I don't see that. I just know that that's our experience, and so we budgeted based on what our experience is.
That's a fair answer. I see that you don't have that sheet in front of you. I can only go off the sheet that I got 2 days ago. That's what I'm asking.
No, that's a valid question. I agree. I just, in a comparison of that, I couldn't figure it out.
Okay, so first of all, I'm Robin Stella. I was not on the committee, and I absolutely respect the work of the committee, and I trust the people on the committee. And I've looked into your company, and you seem like a great company. And I too always want what's best for kids, but I'm also a mom in this community, and these people here have been serving, like my daughter was with them for 6 years, the same people every day. So, whatever we decide to do tonight, I just want some sort of an assurance from you that you will also do what's best for the kids of Middletown, which is to rehire our local workforce and, to make every effort. And I work with cafeteria staff. I'm not a teacher in Middletown. I see the cafeteria staff in Eatontown every single day, and they have relationships with these kids. And a lot of them are also moms, dads, grandparents in this community. So I'm not asking you to put something in writing, but we all said that we're doing this for what's best for the kids. And my daughter at Thompson knows the cafeteria people by name. And one time I came to pick her up from school sick, and they're like, "Oh, you're not going to get the salad today." They know my kid. They know what she eats for lunch. So I just want you to know that that's important to me, and that's also in addition to good food, which I'm sure that you serve. And I really trust the committee's work, but that's what's also in the best interest for the kids. So, okay, thanks. That's really what we're looking for.
Yeah, I think we all feel the same way. The food service workers we have been with us for umpteen years. One woman wrote an email, 32 years. The kids know them in and out, they trust them. They're so good to our kids, they go above and beyond that. We would really hate to see anybody lose a job.
So our goal is to employ everyone that's working here currently.
And then why do we have to re-interview? Then why do we have to re-interview if you're going to let us keep our jobs?
Okay.
Well, I think that's a process.
I think that's a process that's in the best interest of students. That's what we do for them.
Without offering it to someone else.
Well, yeah, they will be offered the job first, absolutely.
They're going to be in.
So it's not just, it's like,
Again, protect our students, there should be a process to make sure that.
Can there be a first refusal clause, in their contracts that says that they get the job unless they don't want the job?
It's really an orientation. What we're talking about is an orientation.
I think it's a difference between the words being mixed. I think some companies will consider it an interview process. What it is really is an orientation. So the orientation is to get everybody together on a couple dates that we decide and have the team together so that you can come on, we can talk to you, tell you about who we are, you can sign on, and basically, like we said earlier, is everybody here will have the opportunity to have employment. We don't want to come in here and just, bring in a whole new staff. That's not our intent.
Our pay is the same or what?
It's part of the collective bargaining agreement. We can't just change your rates.
So our
Nothing changes.
responsibility is to.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
You're bringing in a director from Aramark.
Okay.
So, you just hired her last week, a week ago. So I don't understand why you're bringing a former Aramark employee coming in as a director.
No, I don't know, I'm not aware of it, but.
Yeah, they're bringing in an Aramark employee to be a director.
I don't think you have to address it. I don't think you have to. You're administrative.
So we were asked to provide resumes for candidates for job. We provided several, and the person that.
Right, and they did bring, each company did bring their proposed on-site manager to the interview, and then he had a chance to interview both candidates along with the companies.
Can I ask you another question?
This really isn't a question and answer.
I really want to say too, I don't think this is appropriate. I don't think it's fair to the potential vendor. I think we asked everyone to state their thoughts, their concerns. We value your input. We wanted to hear from you. We spoke to that process, back and forth at this time. I don't know if it's productive or fair. I think, final comment from the board if they want. I think we should move on to the next topic.
Yeah, you just came up to ask questions, that's why I'm asking.
Mr. Cody has a question.
Aramark, they had put in a proposal of guaranteed funds of over $200,000. Yours is $190,000. Okay. Then you have that the meal is, which have come up with Mrs. Walsh. Your administration fees are $40,000 plus more. But then what you're going to charge for a meal is cheaper on. I see the breakfast at $1.99. Now, the thing that I have in questions, and I still have a lot more questions. We only got this tonight at our executive session. How are you going to, you're going with a cheaper amount, but how are you going to provide a meal that is substantial for our children, that what they're used to, at $1.96? Because financially, Aramark was better to the district. The only thing that I think the committee had looked at was this $1.99 a meal, and then a meal of $3.17.
Well, that's for breakfast. The lunch rate is on the next page. That's $3 and 3.1 cents.
That's what I was just getting to. So that's at 3.17. But what I'm saying is that at that rate, the administration fees are higher. The guarantee to the district is lower. And I'm just curious on, what kind of meal are the kids going to get for that kind of rate?
So I guess you're questioning the price that we came up with? Is it the price?
No, it's not the price. I'm just saying that at that price,
So
which was a little guarantee or less, the price is less, what kind of quality of food are we going to get for the kids?
So our plan is to use more wholesome food from raw state, less processed foods, using some local vendors in the area. You want to talk to a conversation about
Well, one thing I wanted to ask about that too, since you brought it up, the local vendors, you're going to call them up and say, send me 500 bagels, and we're going to be waiting for them to deliver them to the district? Because then if we're waiting on a sublet service, that's a little scary.
No, that's not how it works. So what we do is we have some partnerships with local businesses within the community, We've been vetting them currently because this project is just getting underway. So, we'll talk to.
Yeah, I mean, for example, you know.
Can I just ask one question? I want to interrupt.
Is that an answer?
As we go along, I'm learning more, and that's why I'm saying, I only heard about this a half hour ago. So one of my questions.
So the information was posted on the website.
One of my questions to you is that if you're using sublet restaurants or whatever here, local farms or whatever, you only have 4 people that you do business with in New Jersey, like none in this area. So are these new contractual agreements?
Well, to be local, in any community, you need to go to the local community stuff. It was here in Middletown.
So you haven't done business with them before, that's what I'm asking.
We have relationships with a lot of people, some local in the area, and some in a regional area. So it depends on exactly what products you're talking about.
That have to be built.
So if it's a local vendor here in Middletown, we would establish that relationship. And currently, I was going to ask John to talk about that.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the process, right? It's engaging the community. We know that that's important. For example, utilizing Dearborn Farms, somebody that's local, that really can help us on the local side.
Please, could we show some civility? Everybody's been very respectful to everyone who spoke. It's really important that everybody gets an opportunity to be heard. It's very important to us that you all have the opportunity to be heard. Let's give our vendor an opportunity to explain.
Thank you. So local is one piece that we think is really important. So again, as you said, building those relationships is going to be key. We're only able to put a few into our proposal just to show that there are some, but we're going to continue to build on those. It's not just a one and done. So I brought up Dearborn as an example because it's somebody that I happen to know. I know the chef who runs the whole place there. I've already talked to him about coming in and doing demonstrations with the kids, doing some nutrition-related stuff. So, those are the things that I think are really important that are going to help grow the program. We're talking about grilling fresh burgers. We're talking about just really, doing some exciting stuff.
Moving away from items and moving to more things that are more raw.
In our elementary facilities, some of the reasons why things are being done, you feel that there could be changes. So in terms of when you look at our facilities, are you saying that there's things we could be doing now that we haven't been? That's my first question. The second one is in terms of this price spot. If you don't have the vendors lined up, what happens if you can't hit that price spot in terms of how the cost per? In other words, is that going to hurt the quality of food? So two questions.
No, because we have a minimum standard for quality. There's no way we're going to jeopardize the position of the company over an issue like that. Our goal is to feed and follow the guidelines of the RFP and the document that we have and the relationship that we have in the community. I'm local. I represent a lot of people in this community. This is about making sure that we do it right. It's very important for us to do it right. As far as the price point is concerned, we don't see an issue with price point.
Actually, cost per meal, as Mr. Cody was talking about. In other words, he's talking about the cost per meal.
So the cost per meal.
And he's talking about what vendors you have lined up to make sure that you can.
So it's more of a function of how many meals we're serving as opposed to what it's costing us to buy the meals, because the participation is so low currently that there are some fixed costs that we need to overcome. So the more increase in participation that you make, especially at the elementary school level, reduces the average cost without going through the accounts, all of it. So that's how we're able to achieve that, the price that we have. If you look at our budget, our costs in our budget are higher than the costs in the competing budget. So if you look at the aggregate,
right.
So our labor cost is aggregately higher than the existing labor cost. And that is higher than what is currently being done now. If you look at your last 2 years' audits, you'll see that the labor cost is chunky. So we looked at all that in our evaluation and our methodology and how we priced this for a fixed rate. So the responsibility is really on us to improve participation, and that's how our goal is to improve the quality, partner with local businesses, work with the staff here in order to serve more children, and that will get the results that you want.
Thank you.
Okay, now we need to open the mic for other topics. Thank you so much. No one at the mic?
Sorry, Pam Smith, for comments, maybe they're gonna protest what I'm talking about. Not to be dead horse, but I do want to talk and follow up on the school calendar. I know we're voting on it again. I've rewatched the video of the last board of meeting that I was at, and I have a few comments to make. I don't feel not building in snow dates is positive for us. Fall break as a vacation is not conducive to all of Middletown. You know, this year my family cannot afford to take a vacation, and I'm not the only one in Port Monmouth who cannot afford to take a vacation. So really, as a comment for a reason for fall break, I did not appreciate that. Also, as a child of an elementary student, colleges. I visited colleges on Saturdays. I get it, they get 3 days. That may or may not be enough. Spring break's there, fall break is also. Maybe somewhere between the two, we can work out a compromise and get those 3 days back. And maybe take away fall break. The last PIC meeting when I talked about this, I talked about November education for an elementary student is different than June. I will tell you, my children get more education in November than they do in June, especially this June. I will tell you that we have watched Moana. We have watched Chicken Little. We have watched The Lion and the Witch. This is not education. I would rather get those key dates back in November, because according to next year's calendar, we have 9 full days of education. 9 for my elementary students. I get that half days are counted as full, but they're not getting that same education. They are not getting the same education in June as they are in November. A friend of mine posted the ones that they are watching at Thorne, High School Musical 3, Everyone's Hero. That's what they've been doing this last week. Give us back those 3 days. Get my children educated in November. I really implore us. I understand the search calendar. We're not going to make that change, but we need to look at it for the future of our kids. 9 days of full education in November is unacceptable. We need to look at something different for our children, and they are not getting the same education in June as they had in November. So I just want to get that on the record. Thank you, Pam.
Hi, Anderson from Davison. This is, my question is more about, I guess, process than one specific thing on the voting agenda. So something I noticed, a pattern seemed to repeat. Looking at what was given as the agenda, the proposed agenda at the workshop meeting for tonight versus tonight's meeting. The first thing I noticed was most of the attachments weren't available last week. So a lot of the stuff that we would have had questions on at the workshop meeting, we simply didn't have the information until this meeting. With regard to the information for food services wasn't made available, like the specifics, until the final agenda came out. I, for one, did not know that we had 3 employment contracts up for renewal until this agenda came out for tonight. And then I thought back and I realized that at the last meeting, the changes for the calendar and the bus, the calendar is what it is, but the bus schedule, I was curious as to why, when the middle school schedule was being created, there wasn't notice to the families at the repercussions that that would have on the bus scheduling. How North would have to be, high schools would have to be pushed forward 10 minutes, and elementary school would have to be pushed back 5 minutes to accommodate the new schedule. So the pattern that I'm noticing is that things are being brought forth for review by parents very last minute. And it makes it extraordinarily difficult to be able to educate ourselves and ask questions in a timely manner. And I appreciate the need to keep public comment before voting to a certain time, considering now it's 10:42. However, we need to balance that with being able to have parents come up and be able to make their points. So again, it's not about anything specific right now, it's really about the process. And I brought this up before. I know that there's a big push for transparency, and I think making sure that we have the information earlier and at a workshop, more information available at a workshop meeting that's going to be voted on a week later, especially when it happens at the end of the year, when people are now trying to go off into their summer stuff. If we're really pushing more towards transparency, that information is going to be available earlier for us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else with the mic? It's an agenda item, right?
Yes. Steve Lipinski from NAFSA. I just had a couple of questions and comments about the behavioral disabilities class and the LLD learning and language disabilities classes being relocated to River Plaza and Leonardo. I just wanted to know if there's a time period that these classes will be at these locations. Sometimes classes are moved around in the past classes. I'm talking with other parents in the district. Sometimes when schools get overcrowded and whatnot, I just wanted to know if there was any plan with regard to that. And seeing how many students will be moving to the schools in that area, 5, 10 years. And then along with that question is, can these schools accommodate another class if need be? Classes that I'm referring to are 2 classes, two LLD classes moving to Leonardo. So if there was a third, would it be able to accommodate that class? And the same for the behavioral disabilities class, which I believe there's 2, and with that school class would be able to handle a third.
Yeah, so let me answer your question. Thank you for your question. 10 years? No. And the reason is because it's based on the current populations in the schools right now. But when we made the change, a change that was clearly communicated in our community, we did look at the current school age population to make sure that what we're looking at is the students that are affected and are moving to the best of our knowledge based on the current population, that we could predict that they would be able to finish their elementary years in those schools. That was an important indicator when we established, and why we took as long as we did to establish exactly what schools we were going to move those programs to, so that we could have the most accurate population of current students enrolled in those elementaries. So we look at that basically 6 years from kindergarten through 5th grade, and we use that as the predictor on how much space we have to be able to leave those programs where they are currently. Is there anything else that both of you want to add?
And just a question of, is there space in the buildings to accommodate an additional section? Yes, at Leonardo, we did look at that with the potential that there would possibly be 3 LLD classes. Yes.
Where?
Well, right now there's 2 BD classes, right? So that's what we're planning for. Yeah, with the current is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a couple of comments regarding the classes. First, the student services team seems like they've done some good things in the last 6 years since 2012, which I personally wasn't aware of, so I'm glad to see that the program is growing and they have a lot of achievements that they've made, so that's nice to see. But as far as the LOD class, this year there's currently 3 classes, and that's being reduced to 2 classes. I'm not sure what the criteria is for changing that, but obviously if the student-teacher ratio would be reduced, we'll do something like that. And the kids that are being affected, or kids that need extra help, they're not doing this, they're going to have their instruction time is reduced, and this will contribute to less productive learning environment. From information that I've been researching, this is something that I think we could probably all agree on. So I just look to see some maybe more another class added in the future. I know the previous year it was 2 classes and it was 3 classes this year, so back down to 2 classes. So maybe in the future to accommodate some of those kids who need the extra help, something that the board will consider doing or push to advocate for something like that, included in the budgets and whatnot. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I just want to address your comment as it relates to whether it would be regular ed students or special ed students. All programs and all classes are evaluated, and a number of sections established based on the population, the size, the number of students, and the delivery, the appropriate delivery of services in programs, whether that be regular ed or special ed. So I just want to let you know there is a movement as students move up and go to different grade levels, and the number of teachers sometimes follow based on the size of those classes. Right now there's a trend moving up from elementary to middle school to high school, because there's a trend down in the number of students in lower elementary as opposed to high school. So not the people, but the positions and the appropriate person with the expertise to deliver those service programs, disciplines, are moved to address that. So that was a good question. Thank you very much. You gave me the opportunity to explain how we move our personnel. Thanks.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else at the mic? I'm going to close the public portion. I need a motion to approve the minutes for May 14th and May 23rd.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? I need an approval for the 2017-18 quantitative and qualitative goals for Dr. George.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? I also need to read into the minutes from our board retreat. Thank you for everybody who came. The goals of the Board of Education for 2018-19. One is to initiate the process for the development of a new 5-year district strategic plan. The second one is to continue to work with the township and enhance shared services and shared projects. Number 3 is to continue and refine the hybrid approach of the committee of the whole and the committee process. And number 4 would be to schedule and hold a board team building training. I will be asking people to write action plans for those individual goals. So if no one wants to volunteer, I'll reach out and ask during the week. So that's all I just want to say under the President's report. Also, the 5 graduations we had this week were incredible. The respect from the students to the administration and the teachers was impeccable. You could hear a pin drop from those students during those graduations. So proud of it, and so proud to see, like I said again, the respect that they showed to their administrators and their teachers. We have come such a long way. And I just have to say, it was just so impressive to watch that. The speeches were incredible. The whole thing, the band, the chorus, the choir, it was just such a nice thing to see. It was very impressive. And we talked about that.
grateful to all of our staff for, you know, I sent an email to the staff today, just, you know, to all staff saying that, you know, this is a time of great celebration and accomplishment for our students. And certainly, I'm glad you reiterated that, Ms. Minimes, that doesn't happen with the outstanding work of all of our staff here. So thank you.
Okay. The which one?
You take action on the goals.
On the goals, okay, I need a motion. Second? Second. Discussion.
I want to volunteer for goal number C.
Sorry. The goal.
I didn't know we were volunteering now.
Well, you don't have to. Leonard, you know, I thought it too.
I will do it.
Okay, yeah, good.
I just didn't see the goals in front of me.
We said we're going to assign the goals to have action plans written so that we can follow. So, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. Abstentions. Report of the business administrator.
I need the board to make a motion to approve items 1 through 5.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Okay, report of the superintendent.
I'd like to make a motion for items 1 through 8. I forego the superintendent's report based on the presentation that was done in special education and the time spent on the concern with the public.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm opposed on number 3. Abstentions. Okay, recommendation for technology. Need a motion for number 1 through 3.
So moved.
Second? Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Under student services, we need a motion for number 1 through 12.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, there's only personnel agendas.
Okay.
And then one and the one thing.
Just checks and balances.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
No, it's good. Okay, discussion?
I'm sorry, who made the motion second?
Second.
Discussion?
So,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Under facilities, we have the addendum, item number 12, and we also have number 1
Well,
through...
we just have items 1 and number 2 on the agenda.
Okay, 1 and 2 on the, I was going to do them all together. Okay, on the addendum. Okay,
Numbers 1 and 2, 1 on the agenda.
Yeah.
Two is on the agenda.
yeah. Okay, so 1
So
and 2.
moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Okay, under policy, do we need to vote on them, or are they first reading?
They're first reading.
First reading, okay. Curriculum. We need a motion for 1 through, what is it? 1 to 3.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions. Well, we only did to 3, so now we have to do ESY, number 4, 5, and 6. On this one. Oh, I skipped a page, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay, it's policy. Okay, finance. Need a motion for number 1 through 7.
Second.
I'd like to make a motion on number 7.
Okay.
I'd like to table number 7 because there's some more information, even though we just got this tonight, to have it as a discussion of the whole board. I think there's some more questions that we really need to discuss and go over as a whole board, since the whole board does vote on this and understand the whole process. So I would like to ask the board to table this.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Caminiti?
No.
Mr. Cody?
Yes.
Mr. DeFranco?
No.
Mr. Donlin?
No.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mrs. Stella?
Can I ask a question? If we, in other words, tabling, when will it be discussed?
Well, that would have been part of the discussion before we voted on
I think we clearly defined the timeline concerns, right?
So no.
No. Mrs. Walsh?
Yes.
Mrs. Rogers?
Yes.
Mrs. Minies?
No.
Okay, the motion does not carry.
So we need a motion for 1 through 7.
Well, you have a motion.
We have a motion and a second.
On the table,
Okay.
so you just need to vote on that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm voting no on 7.
Opposed?
I'm voting no on 7.
Okay, now on 7 would be Mr. Cody, Mr. Little, Mrs. Walsh.
Okay.
I'm voting yes on 7, only under the condition, well, not the condition, but they stated that they will deal with local farms, but also hire backward people, so. And if they don't, I can assure it'll be a 1-year contract, and nobody else would renew them if they don't hire back these people.
Student activities, I need a motion for 1 and 2. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention. On personnel, we have an addendum also. So on personnel, I would like a motion for 1 through 17 on the regular agenda first.
1 through
1 through
17 on the
17 on the
regular
regular
agenda.
agenda. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstention. I'm abstaining on number 12. Okay, and on the agenda, we have number 2, 3, 4. We have all the way up to 20, 25. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 19 through 25. 18 through 25, 22 through 25, okay. 18 through 25,
It's not
yeah,
easy as
yeah, it's
well.
hard to see it.
Thanks for checking out.
Okay, we have a motion and a second? Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? And that's it, right, Mrs. Salvo? That covered all the attachments?
That covered all the voting items.
Thank you.
Okay. Any old business? Any new business? Yes. Yes. Go ahead. Mr. Donlin has addressed that, Mr. Bucko. Mike, why don't you explain who he is and what he's coming
Last week, Mr. Little and I were at a municipal alliance meeting, and Bob Bucko, former Board of Ed member here, and also a township engineer, an engineer employee. He works in the township, and he has a company here that he represents. They've been awarded the bid to do the work over at the Thompson Middle School, where they're going to start trying to reconfigure that traffic issue that happens every morning. So what he wants to do is he wants to come in sometime maybe in August and share his ideas with the board. Now, according to Bob, he explained to John and I that the plan has already been approved and certified by the township and by the county. So the plan is going through anyway. But what he wants to do is come in and say, look, this is what's going to happen. This is what we expect to do. This is how we're going to do it. Ask us for some of our concerns. But I think it's a genuine way for that company to come in and share their thoughts. And I'd like to give the board's approval to bring them in and speak to us.
it's a very positive. You know, I do the Thompson drop off every morning, not anymore, but any help we can have there is greatly appreciated.
So now the discussion would be, when can we do it? Because we set up a meeting tonight for the 17th. The workshop for the 17th will be canceled unless there's a need for a special voting meeting for personnel. Is that correct?
Well, I think we were going to keep the board meeting date, but use it as.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I just want the public to know the workshop will be canceled for July unless there's a need for a special voting meeting, but we're keeping that date for our closed session discussions. And a
Mrs.
committee.
Bucko's engineering company would come in during our closed session, is that correct?
Well, it depends how we want to set it up.
Okay.
Like, I don't even know if we want to set it up for that same night because we already want to have a full discussion on something else.
Well,
Was it traffic discussion? Can you have that?
No, that would be.
Okay, that's fine too.
I thought everybody might say August.
I thought so too.
Okay, August is fine. August is fine.
He needed some time to gather what people.
So he can come and speak to the public at the August workshop.
It's already a FENICON please, the county,
Yeah.
township set it up on it, August is fine.
And it'd be great to inform the public too. You know.
Definitely.
I think he's looking for, from what I remember, their plan is started, and it's a county contract.
Right.
County road. He's looking for feedback from like the board and administration, like what our administrators have issues with in terms of the buildings, as a council coming out.
Right.
So I think he's looking for feedback from the schools. Not necessarily the public, like.
Well, if
it's not
he
that-
needs
it's not that he wants public,
feedback
but
from the
does that make sense?
administrator.
Like, he's an engineer.
That's why I thought it was going to be a closed
Yeah,
discussion.
he wants to know what the
Information.
schools, the actual schools, the people who work, who run them, and the board, what they think some of the issues are, as they're trying to fine tune.
Mike, I think you can check with him and make sure that it's okay.
Do we know, I mean, it sounds like that's a
Company might not want that.
The principal Thompson.
Well, he's reaching out to the
I'll ask
board.
you tomorrow.
Well, that sounds like a good meeting to happen during the day with the principal,
Yeah.
maybe Mrs. Walker, and I oversee operations myself.
I mean-
And I think we would even,
We told them.
we would even like to invite traffic safety to that as well, just because we work very well collaboratively with the police.
Yeah,
for
well, I
that
think we
discussion.
told him,
That's a good thing.
we said like, you know, he obviously didn't which township in the county, but
Yeah.
we said you should call Ms. Meany and Dr. George. So we didn't figure
Yeah,
out.
Mike was our
He
liaison.
can tell you, yeah, he can tell you exactly what he's trying to do, and you have to figure out the best setting for it.
Yeah.
Because I think that they want feedback.
I think that's what we should leave.
Yeah.
We should leave it as, I'll talk to him again, put him again, direct contact with you, Dr. George.
Yeah.
Well, that's right.
All right, great, thank you.
Because it might be helpful to have the administration and the safety, and you
Yeah.
might get more ideas. And then if you're available to come, whoever wants to come to you, just sunshine it, or we won't let more than 4 people.
Yeah, we would welcome, we would welcome
Yeah.
board
Just so we
members
hear what's
at that
going on.
meeting, just to hear, you know, the dialogue.
I think it's great that they want to reach out.
Mrs. Stella might be available
I
this
might be
summer, she
available.
said.
Yeah, so
Now
that
that
would be
she's-
good. Okay, so we'll look for the date for that, Mike, and we'll look it up with Dr. George.
Great.
Okay, so there's not any other old or new business, we'll open it up to the public. 3-minute each, I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Erica Lucchese. My youngest just did her last day of the pre-K program at Harmony, and I have her daughter who just finished first grade at Upswell. Can't say enough good things about the pre-K program. The teachers were amazing, her therapists were amazing, she thrived, so thank you. And I wanted to thank you for the student services presentation. I had 2 questions. The first was on the least restrictive environment continuum. It looked like there was general education, in-class resource, then pull-out replacement, and then the self-contained class. I followed the PIC meeting minutes, and on the April PIC meeting minutes, the least restrictive environment continuum included modifying curriculum in the general education setting and the Core Plus More program, which I believe to be, and maybe I'm wrong, that it's supplemental instruction as a pull-out program. And I just wanted to know, does the district modify curriculum in the general ed setting? And do we have the Core Plus More program?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Okay.
But that's not a continuing supplementary support, which is the 4 plus more, is not going to be listed as a continuum, because it's in addition to. Those are placements that the 4 plus more is in addition to as a supplementary service. So they're not going to be listed as, those are things that go into the IEP where there's modifications and accommodations. Those would be listed as programs.
Okay, thank you. And my second question was, I saw the professional development slide, and I was wondering, is there any professional development for general education teachers on how to include kids with disabilities and how to modify curriculum for them in the general ed setting?
Our special ed teachers work with them along with child study team members in developing that. When they're doing the professional development together, there's always active discussions with that. And again, it's done on an individual basis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else at the mic, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?